just going to say it. I think this is the first place I've said it to a person versus writing it. I think all use of GenAI, any GenAI, is irresponsible. Now, let me qualify that. The outputs that you or others may use it for, I'm not going to tell Brandon, I can talk about you in the third person, I'm not going to tell you, you use ChatGPT to rewrite something, and when you look at it, you feel good about it. That's your subjective truth. I honor that. What I know, in my experience, especially with data, my 2014 book was focused on data, is humans don't have access, certainly Americans, to their data. If you know books like the 2019 seminal book, The Rise of Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana Zuboff, that sort of put so much clarity. The first chapter of that book is monumental in its paradigmic level of understanding how in 1776 the nature of consumerism started to form the basis of the surveillance economy. All these big words just mean like we have not been trained as humans to recognize how precious our data is, because it reveals who we are, but it's not all of who we are. And when other people take it and kind of feed it back to us, GenAI has accelerated so many of the worst parts of these tools. And fundamentally, I'm still in the Screen Actors Guild. As a journalist, I wrote 3 books, many of which apparently now protections of mine that I had are being used, subsumed by different tools because they are deemed fair use, which of course is a ludicrous use of that term. Intellectual property is now, especially from a lot of GenAI designers and creators, the logic of we need more data for our systems has nothing to do with them getting permission from me or others. And I don't understand, Brandon, why humans of any type don't recognize, just because actors in the Screen Actors Guild are like, I make money from this face, I want to protect it. And then they go, some people, well, things must change, don't hinder innovation, yada, yada. And then I'm like, it's a face. You have the same face that I'm fighting for you. Yeah. So basically the use of GenAI tools, and this is before we get into energy and water, but largely because it's not narrow testable tools, I think it's irresponsible. So I'm going to keep doubling down on that because I've been talking about AGI being ludicrous and essentially a cult for years, but GenAI, I think it's just more to say, if someone can't say how they're being responsible about it, that satisfies not just me, but all the people that I respect so much in the space, hundreds of them, then my answer is, look, I get that they're cool. I get that I use ChatGPT sometimes, once in a while, not that often, but I get the allure, especially from a spiritual sense. What is produced, it's harder and harder, I think, for people to say, oh, those are the words that I created versus this is the aggregated, really just slop, morass, especially from synthetic sources where no one knows how to cite an original author. And by using these tools unwittingly out of ignorance, not necessarily design, people don't recognize you still are mitigating, lessening, and harming all human creativity. Because anytime you use these tools and whatever the result is, you can't identify where it came from.
Beauty at Work is brought to you by Templeton Religion Trust. If you enjoyed this clip, go check out the full episode. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps get the word out about the show. Thanks, and see you next time.